Rich people are not smarter than you. They don't have a secret stock pick, a guy at Goldman Sachs, or some formula you weren't taught in school. After 9 years of working in personal financial, I noticed the same 6 behaviors over and over again in people worth 7 and 8 figures. None of them are complicated. All of them are uncomfortable to actually do. Stick around because number 4 is the one that made me change my own bank account the same week I learned it. If you're new here, hey, I'm Povs. And on this channel, we talk about money in a way that's actually useful, not theoretical. Let's get into it. Picture 2 people, both $20,000 in debt. One person is drowning. The other one is completely fine. Same number on paper, totally different reality. But because debt isn't one thing wearing one name, it's 2 different things that just happen to look identical on a statement. There's debt that's a brick tied to your ankle. Credit cards sitting at 24%, buy now, pay later plans, personal loans that quietly compound while you're not looking. And then there's debt that's a tool, a 6% mortgage, a low-rate auto loan, financing that costs less than what that same money could earn if it were invested instead. Federal Reserve data actually shows that the wealthiest 10% of American households carry more total debt than the median household. Carry more total debt than the median household. Not less, more. The difference is almost none of it sits in the expensive category. They're not debt-free, they're just not handing 24% a year to a credit card company while their investments are trying to grow 8%. That math never wins, no matter how disciplined you are with the rest of your life. I learned this the hard way. Early on, I was putting money into a savings account while still carrying a credit card balance, and I genuinely thought I was doing the responsible thing. I wasn't. I was filling a bucket with a hole in the bottom and feeling proud of how much I'd poured in. Do this. List every debt you have with its interest rate next to it. Anything over roughly 8%, that's the brick. Automate the payoff, highest rate first, and don't add anything new to that pile while you're doing it. Anything under that tied to something appreciating, like a home, that's a tool. Stop treating both like the same emergency. Quick test right now. Without checking, guess what you spent last month. An actual number. Now, go look at your statement. Most people are off by 20% or more. Why? Not because they're careless, but because nobody ever taught them to actually look. You can manage a business with a spreadsheet and an instinct for your own life with vibes, and only one of those approaches works long term. Most of us are driving with a cracked windshield, moving forward, hoping we don't hit something. Here's the system that actually sticks, because it's almost insultingly simple. Every dollar that comes in gets sorted into 3 piles. Survival, rent, groceries, insurance, the bills that don't care how your week went. Living, the stuff that makes life worth getting up for, guilt-free, because a budget that has 0 joy in it never survives contact with real life. Future, savings, investing, debt payoff, the version of you that doesn't exist yet, but is quietly counting on the version of you that does. I want to be honest about something. When I first tried to track my own spending, I avoided it for months because I was scared of what I'd find. When I finally did it, the number that hit me hardest wasn't some big purchase. It was $11 a month, multiplied across 4 subscriptions I had completely forgotten I was paying for. Small leaks sink real ships. Do this for 1 month, written down or in an app, no exceptions. You will find money you didn't know you were losing. Almost everyone does, and almost nobody enjoys the process, but everybody is glad they did it afterward. The market drops 20% in a month. Every portfolio on your screen is bleeding red. Half the people watching this right now will panic sell at the worst possible moment. The other half won't even open the app. Same crash, 2 completely different outcomes. The difference isn't courage, it's a spare tire. A flat tire with a spare in the trunk is a 5-minute delay on your way to work. A flat tire with no spare is a tow truck, a missed shift, and a string of bad decisions made under pressure. It's the same flat tire. The outcome was decided before it ever happened, by a choice nobody saw at the time. According to Bankrate's own annual surveys, more than half of Americans couldn't cover a surprise $1,000 expense without borrowing money or selling something they didn't want to sell. That's not a market problem, and it's not really even a money problem. It's a buffer problem, and buffers are boring, which is exactly why most people skip building one. Here's how rich people actually use this. They keep 3 to 6 months of expenses sitting in an account they have functionally forgotten exists. So, when life goes sideways, a layoff, a medical bill, a car that dies at the worst time, they're paying for it out of cash sitting in a savings account, not by selling stocks at a loss in a panic. Do this. If you have nothing saved, get to 1 month of expenses first. That's the floor, not the goal. Then attack anything above 8% interest. Then build toward 3 to 6 months, automating the contribution so it happens whether you feel like it that month or not. While that money sits there, make sure it's actually earning interest somewhere instead of sitting at zero. There's no version of emergency fund that requires the bank to keep your money for free. Optional sponsor segment placeholder. Insert your own sponsor, read here, e.g. a high-yield savings account or banking app. The way the buffer point naturally leads into, and here's where I personally keep mine. Here's the part nobody really wants to hear. Warren Buffett built something like 95% or more of his net worth after his 65th birthday. He didn't suddenly get dramatically better at investing in his 60s. He just let the snowball roll long enough that it stopped needing him to push it at all. Compounding looks like nothing for years. It looks boring, slow, almost insulting, given how much effort it took to set up. Then, one day, it looks like everything happening all at once. And people assume that's when it started working. It started on day one. You just couldn't see it yet, the same way you can't watch a tree grow by staring at it. The average investor actually underperforms the market itself by several percentage points a year, year after year. And it's almost never because of a bad pick. It's because they touch it. They check the balance during a dip, panic, sell, feel relief, then buy back in once it's already recovered, and call that staying disciplined. The richest investors I've come across do something closer to nothing. They automate a transfer, buy low-cost index funds, and genuinely forget the account exists for months at a time. I think the hardest part of this for most people isn't the math, it's the boredom. We're wired to want a story, a strategy, a clever move we can talk about at dinner. I automated a transfer and ignored it is not a story anyone wants to tell. It's just the thing that actually works. Do this. Set up an automatic transfer to your investment account on the same day your paycheck lands, treated exactly like a bill you can't skip. Put it into broad, low-cost index funds. Then put the app somewhere you won't check it more than once a quarter. You are not trying to beat the market. You are trying to survive being in it long enough for it to work in your favor. A well-known ProPublica investigation into leaked IRS data found that some of the wealthiest Americans pay an effective tax rate sitting in the single digits, while a typical worker pays closer to a quarter of their income. That's not a loophole hidden from everyone else. It's a set of rules that mostly go unread. If your employer offers a 401k match and you are not claiming the full amount, you are leaving free money on the table, a guaranteed 50 to 100% return before the investment has even had the chance to grow. After that, a Roth IRA lets your investments grow completely tax-free for retirement, and a health savings account, if you qualify for one, is arguably the single most tax-advantaged account most people have never opened. Nobody explained any of this to me when I started working. I opened the first retirement account that showed up in an onboarding email, picked the default option, and didn't look at it again for years. It wasn't a disaster, but it was years of leaving money on the table simply because nobody told me the table existed. These accounts aren't secret. They're sitting in most people's benefits portal right now, mostly unused, mostly unexplained, often actively avoided because the paperwork looks intimidating. Rich people don't necessarily understand the tax code better than everyone else. They just got told early that it was worth understanding. Do this. Confirm you're capturing your full employer match, no excuses. Open a Roth IRA if your income qualifies. Keep what's inside it simple. 1 or 2 broad index funds. Nothing exotic. The account you choose matters more than which stock you pick inside it.